And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590. Thank you for making us part of your day. My next guest is an individual who provides a very important role in the community of Stoddard County. That is Renee Trout. She's the executive director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. Renee, may I call you Renee?
Please.
Welcome to the booth.
Thank you.
Renee, I know a little bit about the Stoddard County Children's Home, but in talking to you, there's a lot I don't know. Could you kind of just tell our listeners a little bit about what the Stoddard County Children's Home is and what its role is?
Sure. We are actually celebrating 45 years that we've been in operation. The home was founded, the chief juvenile officer at that time, Daren Williams, was concerned about the need for care for children going into foster care in Stoddard County. So in the fall of 1980, they put together a group of volunteers and formed the Stoddard County Children's Home Board. They found a residence at the time in Bloomfield where they could provide emergency foster care to children that are part of the system within the children's division. And for 40 years, they lived there, was ran as a group foster home. Our purpose is to provide emergency care, which usually means 30 days or less until kids go on to another treatment facility or they can find a relative placement or a foster home for them. So we're kind of that stopgap, measure for them to provide immediate care. They don't want to wake people up at 2 a.m. We're always open, so they bring the children to us, and we're able to provide that care and that safe environment to them immediately.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, the executive director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, you indicated that the home was located for approximately 40 years, is that correct, in Bloomfield? Mm-hmm. And you indicated you operated as a group home. Kind of explain to the listeners, what exactly does a group home mean? Well,
that's a statewide distinction. I mean, it's basically a foster home, but we take in more kids than a normal family could do. Like I said, our licensure allows us to have 10 children at a time. And within that foster home, we were basically just like any other foster home. I mean, we put them to bed, we get them up, we take them to school, we provide meals, we make sure homework's done, just like a normal household. Some changes came about around 2020 within our licensure with changes in the state. So we're now licensed as a residential care facility, which we provide the same service. It's just really kind of a distinction, the state made. But with that, instead of having, for say, live-in house parents, we do operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we have to have 2 staff on property at all times with the children, whether we have 1 child or whether we have 10 children. So,
and again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, executive director of the Stoddard County Children's Home, indicating that it was operated as a group home. Now it's a residential care home, correct? Yeah. And originally it was started by the former juvenile officer of the 35th Judicial Circuit, who was the longtime judicial. Yes, he was there 35, 40 years. Is that correct?
At least, yeah.
And he was concerned about where are we going to put these kids. And a lot of people don't realize these children who come to your facility, what are some of the reasons why they come to the facility?
Wide and varied. I mean, and we work closely with Children's Division and the Juvenile Office, but it's really up to those workers to make the determination on who gets removed or for what reason. But like I said, it's just once they are removed and are in the system and need care and a safe place to be, that's our purpose. That's where they would reach out to us.
And you indicated, I believe, that you could have up to 10 kids. Is that correct?
10. We serve from birth to age 18. If they're 18 and haven't aged out of the system yet, if they're still in high school, then we still accept them.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, executive director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, you indicated that you could hold up to 10 kids. What would be the average number of kids that you would have in your home on a daily basis if you were just looking at it through the year?
Well, it's wide and varied. We actually started tracking that a couple years ago just to kind of see what our occupancy rates were for this year. Early this spring, we stayed pretty full. We had anywhere from 7 to 10 kids for a couple of months, so our average was about 8 daily. This past month, we've got a little bit of a break. Our average last month was just under 4. So there's really no rhyme and reason when you look at it year to year, month to month, and try to compare. It really just depends on what's going on in the communities and within the system.
And is it my understanding that any community in the Stoddard County is where these children, they could be removed from, for instance, Bernie or Essex or Advance or Bell City or Pennerman or...
Yeah, that's how our name originated with Stoddard County. We're not actually part of Stoddard County government or the Stoddard County court system. We are our own nonprofit organization, but we only accept children who are residents of Stoddard County. So they've been removed in Stoddard County and become part of the circuit court system, so they are placed with us.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, the Executive Director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And that leads me to our next question. How exactly does the Stoddard County Children's Home get funding? Do you get state money? Do you get private money? Where does you get the money to operate this
both.
home?
We are funded by both. We're our own nonprofit, so we rely heavily on the community to provide that support. But as a licensed agency, we do get paid a per diem, like foster parents would, to house those children for the state.
And in the event that someone wanted to donate to the Stoddard County Children's Home, is there a way that you can do that?
Yeah, we have donations through our website, which is www.stoddardcountychildrenshome.com. I know it's long, spell it all out. The first page, you'll see our donate button. It also has information about our mission and our purpose, as well as our board members. We are currently updating that, so if you encounter trouble, just give it a minute or two. We also have a Facebook page with the same links, like I said, information about donating. Within our operating budget, it's about 50-50, or it was our last fiscal year. We get about half of our operating income from the state, and the other half through donations from individuals, businesses, and sponsors.
And again, we're here with with Renee Trout, Executive Director, Stoddard County Children's Home, talking a little bit about the Children's Home, how it functions and things of that nature. Now, you indicated that there's a board. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. That kind of helps guide the Stoddard County Children's Home. How many members are on the board, and how exactly are those individuals put on the board?
We have an 18-member board currently, and those members are selected from the 7 communities within Stoddard County. We have at least 2 representatives from every town, so all those communities, serve and function in dealing with, the children and making sure that we are operating as a countywide agency. So they do a really good job. They have resources within their community that they can call upon when we need assistance, whether it's with donations or whether it's with operations with children or if we need clothing, about that type of information. So they do a really good job of advocating for us within their communities. And again, so that pulls everybody together. I mean, again, we've been housed in Bloomfield. We're currently housed in Dexter, but it is a true countywide agency, and we hope to serve that. We also are governed by an advisory board. Again, the judge, Rob Mayer, and Judge Hatterfield just resigned, so Leanne Ryan has been appointed to take his spot. She will be our new advisory board member, as well as Jessica Brown, who is the Chief Juvenile Officer, and Kim Boland Stafford, who is the Children's Division District Manager. So those 4 are who, like I said, that's the operation that we answer to with the state government.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. Learn a little bit about how the Children's Home works. Named Stoddard County Children's Home, but not officially not tied to any state organization or city or county organization. That's just simply the name. And you indicated that for years and years that the home was located in Bloomfield, Missouri. Is that correct?
Yep. When they were first founded, like I said, they looked for a property. They were able to do with some government funding and purchased a home there in Bloomfield. After 40 years, that home was actually built around the late 1800s or early 1900s. So after 120 years, you can imagine there were just some things that we needed to do as far as technology, as far as security, that home just could not sustain. And we were fortunate enough to have a bequest from the Hardy Foundation, and that allowed us to build a new property in Dexter.
And it's my understanding, again, we're welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590. That new facility was built, it's approximately, 1-2 years old? Is that correct?
We broke ground in 2021. We moved in March of last year.
Mm-hmm. So you broke ground in 2021, and you indicated there was a gift from the Hardy family that allowed you to build that home there in Dexter. Tell me a little bit about the home there in Dexter. What kind of amenities and things does it have at that facility?
Well, when we started that process, again, the Norma Hardy Foundation provided the bequest for us to have the funding for this. The Regional Healthcare Foundation actually donated the land, the property there that we built on. And this facility was kind of just a nod to the future. We had spent the last 40 years in that home, in a 120-year-old home. So we're hoping for posterity purposes that we did everything right and we can keep that home operational for the next, 100 years and the next generations to come if it's needed. This home, nearly 9,000 square feet. Some of the differences between what we had before is we have 10 bedrooms. So every child that we're licensed to have has their own room when they come to us. If we have a sibling group, 2 brothers, if they're same sex, we can put them in the same room. We have a dedicated nursery, which was a little different because crying babies can keep up a household. But we have a dedicated room for them now in the new facility. It's just a great place. It's open concept design. So we have a room where we can see kids at all times with staff overseeing that. But we also have various areas where kids can engage in different activities. There's a toddler area where they have toys and everything. There's a kind of more of a as quiet as it gets in a house with kids, but quiet area where older kids, if they need to study or want to read, they have that opportunity. We have a couple of game stations, both video games and like foosball or ping pong tables and, couches. They watch TV. We've got, movies and stuff. So. And then our kitchen and dining area was a much needed upgrade, a lot more space. We have a table that can accommodate us if we're full, and we try to do family style meals as often as possible. With that, providing kids with some normalcy or, some things that they may not have had in their own home lives. And again, it's a really home-like atmosphere. That was, our purpose. We didn't want it to look like a facility. We needed it to look like a home, and we did an excellent job. The board really came together, the committee that worked on the interior design, that was their charge, and they fulfilled it perfectly. These kids come in, and they are just overwhelmed with the place they get to live now. And when you're talking about a kid who's traumatized, removed from their home, that's very important. We wanted it to be warm. We wanted it to be welcoming. And we wanted it to be filled with love. So the staff do an excellent job when they're intaking that. One of the features of the new home is what we call our intake area. So it's the very first room. The kids come in, and it's got some bright colors and comfortable furniture rather than before they came in and they kind of had to stand in the kitchen hallway while we got the paperwork. There's always paperwork while we got that done. So that was an addition that, we tried to sit down and think, what could we do better within our operations and systems? And so that was, something that we do. Bathroom facilities are right there. So when they come in, like I said, usually it's in the evenings or sometimes overnight. So we're getting them, a bath or a shower. We're giving them pajamas. We're giving them a toothbrush and just, kind of getting them settled, giving them a meal. A lot of times they haven't eaten yet when they've come with us. They've either been with the caseworker or been involved with other activities. So they might have missed supper. So we're always making sure that they get a warm meal when they come to us. And like I said, just helping them settle down and acclimate a little bit. And again, shown to their rooms. The staff, they keep the rooms ready for the next kids. They're decorated similar, so we really don't, they're kind of gender neutral, I guess you would say. They come in, but we've got stuffed animals on all the beds. They get a personal quilt or throw that, is kind of theirs, and they can take that with them. And again, just kind of welcoming them and making sure they know that that space is safe and they know that space is theirs for the time they're with us.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home, talking about the new facility that's built and started in 2024 there in Dexter. And you've talked a lot about the amenities and things of that nature. It seems like there was a lot of planning involved in how the layout of the home was going to be. Did y'all do that simply based upon your experience and how things have ran in the past, or was there other facilities that you looked at? And when I use facilities, I'm talking about other homes and things of that nature.
Yes, several of the board members toured some other residential facilities across the state, and looked at kind of what they liked and what we and like I said, and looking we ask our staff what would make your job easier, more accessible, trying to have things we still have a basement. We had a basement in the house that really wasn't accessible as far as storing facilities or storing items. So in this, we did a lot better on organizing our areas, and clothes management was one of the things that we get. I mean, we are so fortunate that we get hundreds of donation of clothes a year, so we rarely have to to buy things. We have plenty there for the kids when they come in. And one of the biggest features, and it's one of my favorite parts of the house, is we actually have a clothes closet. We have, boys' side and a girl side, where the kids, they actually can go into the closet and pick out what they want to wear. We trade it out. This time of year we're stocking with the winter and fall stuff, so we're trying to get, move the summer stuff out. But they can pick up shoes. They can pick out the kind of shirt they want. They can pick out the kind of pants they like. If they're, boys, do they like jeans? Do they like sweatpants? They can kind of see it all instead of me just giving them something and expecting them to wear it. So that was a good feature. Within this space, we also put in the basement, a storm shelter area where we can actually shelter in the house. It's not FEMA specifications, but it is a concrete shelter with outside access that during those, storms that we've had around here, unfortunately, that we can keep our kids safe.
Absolutely. And you're welcome to Loop with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590. Talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, I was lucky enough to come to the ribbon cutting and the open house that was provided for the what I call the Hardy House, but it's the Stoddard County Children's Home. And it's an amazing facility, and it's preeminent facility in all of Missouri, if I could say that out there, I think. One of the questions I have, and it's kind of a difficult question, you indicate that these kids come from all over the county, from Bernie, from Richland, Essex, Gray Ridge, Advance, Brownwood. If those individuals are placed there at the home, do they then change schools?
No.
How does that work, and how do you transport that many different kids to different areas?
We've been very fortunate. The vans that we currently have were donated to us, so we've been just really incredibly blessed. And one of the reasons that we like that, because one of our major goals is to keep those kids in the schools that they came from. They've lost their homes. They've can't see their families, so keeping them in their schools with their teachers and classmates is very important in maintaining some type of stability for them. So we transport them, staff come in and take them to school in the morning. We pick them up in the afternoons. If, like I said, if we have 3 or 4 schools, it gets to be a little tricky. We work with their caseworkers through Children's Division to kind of help with that sometimes, but we do our best to manage that and make sure that they keep that consistency.
And a lot of that can be assisted. That's one of the reasons why. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. That's why the local community, when they do give these donations and things of that nature, that's the kind of things they're allowing these children to continue. They've been taken from their home. There's a traumatic situation, but at least we can do is allow them to continue to go to the school they were going to. If they're doing extracurricular activities, I know that you don't want to disrupt that. It's the best you can do to schedule all those things. And if you want to donate to the Stoddard County Children's Home, you can get on the website, and we're going to talk about the website. And that website again is
StoddardCountyChildren'sHome.com. All spelled out.
All spelled out. And again, we're here with Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590. Renee, is there any kind of major fundraisers that Stoddard County Children's Home does each year? Do you do an auction? Do you do a banquet or anything of that nature?
In the past, we haven't really, fortunately, had the need for that. Like I said, we do an annual direct mail campaign in the fall that really has sustained us. With the new facility, of course, bigger facility, we have some increased expenses with utilities and fuel costs and groceries. So, and throughout the fundraising process for the new home, we did an event and was, hugely successful, not only in the amount of money you raised, but just the amount of contacts and community spirit that it instilled in us. So we are doing a Blacklight Bingo fundraiser next month. Dexter Elks is hosting that for us. So, we're really excited about the opportunities that's going to bring. It's going to be on October 18th.
Okay.
They're at the Elks Lodge in Dexter. So, and again, you can purchase tickets. That link is available on our Facebook page, and that Facebook page is Stoddard County Children's Home. All the information should be there. I don't think we've posted it on the website yet, but it is available through social media. We're selling T-shirts to go along with the bingo fundraiser. They're glow in the dark, so be sure and get one. And we are still looking for sponsors for the event. We have several different levels and opportunities for businesses to give. And again, whether you're in Bernie, whether you're in Dexter, Bloomfield, Advance, Puxico, we encourage all the communities to help support this event.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home, who indicated that on October 18th. At the Dexter Elks, there will be a bingo, and it's a glow in the
dark. Well, it's blacklight.
Blacklight bingo.
Blacklight bingo. Yep.
And if you're wanting to sponsor that or be a part of it, you can obviously get on the website, StoddardCountyChildren'sHome.com.
Correct.
All spelled out. Also, if you're wanting to just donate or be a part of it, you can also do that. Renee, one thing that I think is also interesting is the Stoddard County Children's Home is staffed 24 hours a day. Is that correct?
Correct.
How do you find staff to do that 24 hours a day?
We run 3 shifts. We have a day shift, a mid shift, and then an overnight shift, and with 2 on each shift. And at the overnight, we can have, if the kids are all in bed, we have one awake and the other can be back in the adult area sleeping, but on call if needed. And again, we do that every week, every day of the year. We don't have holidays. We do have holiday pay, but finding those concerned and caring individuals, we're really proud of the staff that we have and the work that they do, not only in, again, comforting these children when they come in their darkest hour, providing that love and care, but in showing them a household and a world that cares about them and can take care of them and provide a safe space for them. And
in the event that I wanted to volunteer or try to help with a children's home, can I do that?
We do. We are revising our volunteer operations a little bit. Like I said, some of the state guidelines on what our requirements are for volunteers have changed, so we're updating that. But I encourage anybody that wants to reach out, even with more information on the bingo or to volunteer, they can call me personally. My number is 573-820-0896. And be happy to, talk with them about what opportunities we have, what needs we might have currently, and how we can work together to support the kids.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, you're talking a lot about the 2 members from each of the community to make up the board. How does the board get filled? Does individuals volunteer? Can they do that as well? I mean,
if they're interested, yes. We've had several, some come on the board with that. Usually when a board member is due to resign or renew his term, if they're not continuing, we ask for their recommendations, or we have recommendations from the board at large, and just to kind of fill that spot within that community, whatever, whichever community that board member might be leaving from. So we always welcome, new and engaged members, that have a passion for children and for caring for kids. So, we welcome those inquiries as well. They can reach out to me at any time, either, through the phone or through the Facebook page.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. Talk a little bit about how you can get engaged with Stoddard County Children's Home if you're interested in A, being a staff member, B, being a volunteer, C, being a member of the board, or if you just want to donate to a very good cause. Renee, one thing that I was thinking about is, you have these vans that you transport these kids. In addition to the staff, do you also have to have numerous drivers, or is the staff also the drivers?
Staff are the drivers. Our staff position is called a house parent, and again, that's what they're expected to be. They parent those children just like they would their household at home, providing meals, providing transportation to school, helping with homework, getting them to extracurricular activities, just fun events. We plan birthday. Matter of fact, we got a birthday party tomorrow. So
outstanding.
A 5-year-old. So they're busy planning, that to make that a special day for that girl. We take them to church activities if they're involved in a church or get involved in a church. We work closely with several of the churches in our area to, especially the teens, get those youth involved in something if they're not already. And again, if they are, we try to keep that consistent part of their life. But the staff, like I said, they parent them just like they would their own kids. Any kind of need that arises, we take them to the park. We've taken them skating. We had a fun summer. We've been to the pool almost every day, I believe. We were fortunate enough, again, to have a donor that donated pool passes for the kids all summer long. So we love the Dexter pool. They actually took them to Cape Splash I think around the 4th of July. So, we are very, concerned with making sure that they have every opportunity that we can provide to them. And the only reason we can do that is because we have donors that support us. Whether it's through our memorial campaign, whether it's through our annual campaign, or people that come out and support our fundraising opportunities, making those donations, whether it's cash or whether it's in kind. We exist on a lot of in-kind donations. We recently had put out a need on our Facebook page that our pantry was looking a little low. So we got an overwhelming response. So canned goods came in. We have that at Christmas time. We're fortunate, people are donating toys. So we have we have a wonderful Christmas with all our kids. We celebrate all holidays, whatever we can do to include some normalcy in their life.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd, KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director, Stoddard County Children's Home, talking about the need whenever these children are removed to kind of continue a normalcy in their life, and that they, A, go to the same school that they were going to, B, any extracurricular activities they're involved in, they keep going those. Also, anything that they want to do, you try to make it possible for the kids to be able to do that, correct?
Yeah. Even if it's just, middle of the afternoon ice cream run. I mean, just some special thing that we can do. If everybody's got their chores done, if they made their beds that morning, they've got their homework done, then, we want them to feel like they're part of a household, that they're important and valued. So, that's very important to keep that, normal household operation running.
And again, everyone, welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. Renee, is there a specific mission or motto of the Stoddard County Children's Home that you kind of look to when you're dealing with these children on a daily basis?
Sure. Officially, it's, that Stoddard County Children's Home is committed to providing a safe haven for abused and neglected children. We have a dedicated board of directors and compassionate staff, and we are driven to meet the physical, nutritional, educational, and emotional needs of the children in our care. So again, any kind of need that child has, whether it's tutoring, if we get kids that aren't in school yet, we work with First Steps or the Head Start programs to get them, where they need to be to go to school. Counseling services, if that's recommended by, the state, whether it's their caseworker, we work to get them to those counseling sessions. Doctor's visits, making sure they're healthy, that they're, sometimes they come in, they're malnourished or they have other, medical needs. One of the first things we do is get them a physical with the doctor to make sure that we're on top of any concerns and we're providing that medical care as well.
And again, we're here with, welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. Renee, and I'd be a little bit remiss if I didn't ask, tell listeners a little bit about Renee Trout. What when you're not working Executive Director of the Children's Home, which probably takes up about 23 hours a day, I would think. Tell me a little bit about Renee Trout.
Pretty much a lifelong resident of Stoddard County. I grew up in Bernie, graduated from Bernie. My husband's in law enforcement, so we have kind of moved around. He worked for Stoddard County Sheriff's Department for numerous years and is now with the Dexter Police Department. And Dexter has been our home for 25 years, but I've been through my previous career with the Girl Scouts. I spent 30 years as a professional executive with them, worked in every community in Stoddard County and surrounding areas. So had a good feel for kids. I've always been passionate about kids. I'm an advocate for children and their needs. So it became time for a career change for me. And this position, they were getting ready to build this facility. I had some experience building the new Girl Scout office just right up the road from us. So
right.
Made a contact, reached out, and it was kind of a good fit. My predecessor at the Children's Home, Linda Linda was actually the first director of the children's home that was not the county juvenile officer. Again, in the beginning, as it started out with Churn, and then Mike Davis was there for many years. They were the directors of the home as well, in addition to their juvenile officer duties. But as times changed and the needs of the home became a little more than one person could handle, they had hired Linda. And then, like I said, when I took over last fall, became the executive director and worked with her throughout the building process and fundraising process in that. So.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Loop with Daren Todd, talking to Renee Trout, the executive director of Stoddard County Children. And if I could switch gears a little bit, you indicated you were with the Girl Scouts for years and years. Is that correct?
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about the Girl Scouts. What did you think about the Girl Scouts? Was that something that really...
It was my family business. I grew up in Girl Scouts. My mom was an executive with Girl Scouts. I'm an outdoors person. I love sports. We did everything. The leadership program made me who I am today. That's the skills I learned there were very instrumental in, building my career. So, and again, growing up with children and it being in an organization that worked with children from a very young age. And I took on leadership responsibilities in high school, working with younger Girl Scouts and troops. Married early. One of Hank's first duty assignments was in Germany. I was 19 years old, and I became a troop leader for the first time, working with kids at 19. I don't know how many miles that is away from home. So
in Germany?
In Germany. We were on the military base. Had a group of girls there.
Yeah.
And it's just... like I said, always been passionate about helping kids, and that just has continued, and was able to come back and actually, like I said, find a position here at the local council when the mergers went through in 2008 and it became more of a statewide organization. Had to deal with some changes there and just really started looking, for some other opportunity and some other area. I felt like I had really done all I could do in that organization and wanted another way to serve kids.
And again, we're here at Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. Renee, in your time with the Stoddard County Children's Home, what are you most concerned about that's going to be an issue for the home 5, 6, 7 years down the road?
With our staff, one of the focuses that we have really been working on this year is updating our training. A lot of these children come in, and we talked about it earlier. They're very traumatized, and trauma-informed care has been something that has been missing from that training component. We just went through our relicensure period with the state, so we passed, yay! And we are licensed for another 2 years. But within that, they have updated their training programs as well. So that's going to be a big issue, teaching my staff how to deal with some of the special problems that come with these kids that are in a trauma situation, and the emotional and physical responses that they have to that. How do we deal with that, and how do we meet their needs in a better manner? So we're really focused on that. These are the things that we've talked about in building that home. What does this home need to be in 5 years or 10 years? One of the things that the board looked at in designing this space was the size of the rooms. And I said, currently everybody gets their own room, but those rooms are built to state specifications that we can put 2 kids to the room. So if the need arises in 10 years, 20 years, what have you, that we need to increase that licensure, we can apply for that through the state. If it's granted, we could house up to 20 kids in that facility. So the board was very farsighted in, looking at not only our current needs, but what could happen in the future and what Stoddard County would need to meet those needs. So.
And again, we're going to Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, I'm going to ask you this question, and you may say this is not in my purview, but is this a situation in which Stoddard County could benefit from more, not that your facility is not outstanding, more foster parents and more foster homes as well?
Absolutely. I've worked closely with, the Children's Division, and any, family that can do that is a better place typically than what we give, even though we give the best of care, and my staff, is fully committed to providing for those children. Being in a home and having a little more sense of permanency. Again, my facility, we're only an emergency placement. The kids are supposed to be with us 30 days or less until they can get into a foster home or a family placement. So, absolutely the need for foster parents is important in Stoddard County. And it kind of ebbs and flows. Again, just within my 5 years experience here, we see periods, again, where we stay full just because there's not a facility or a home available to them. Or, when we're fortunate enough to, not have a lot of kids because they do have availability in the foster families. So it continues to be, a growing concern to making sure that, we have both. We serve, kind of a different kind of purpose, again, in that emergency situation and that overnight. So I think there's always going to be a need for our facility. I don't think even if we got hundreds of foster parents that we wouldn't find a way to, to serve those kids as well.
And again, we're going to welcome the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, you indicated that you were born and raised, graduated from Bernie. Dexter's been your home for 25 years. You indicated at one point, though, you were in Germany. Did you travel a little bit more other than Germany?
Not much after that. We came back to Missouri. We were at Fort Leonard. He was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, and he got out of the service in 1991, came back home to do law enforcement. So,
and obviously, not to let the cat out of the bag, but we're talking about the very distinguished Hank Trout. Hank's an outstanding law enforcement. In fact, he's the chief of police of Dexter. Is that correct?
Correct.
Outstanding individual. Really like Hank a lot. Hank is very understated in the effectiveness that he does, and he does not want to bring any attention upon himself. And I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah.
And again, Renee, tell me a little bit about what you see your role for the home in the next 5 to 6 years. We talked a little bit about what you're doing with the staff. What exactly is your role? How's it going to evolve, do you think?
I hope not a whole lot more. We've done a lot of evolution in the last 5 years just since I've taken over. Again, I've got some really excellent board members that are farsighted and forward-thinking, and that's kind of the position that we're in now. We have this incredible new facility that was provided for us, really, and we're thinking of every way that we can maximize those opportunities and that provision for the children. What can we make this to be better? Again, when our attendance is low, we're looking at, do we need to, be expanding, or what other services can we be providing or need to be providing in the future? So, it's an ongoing effort. We have monthly board meetings, and again, it's part of that discussion with the board members on making the most of this opportunity that we've been so very fortunate to be provided with.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590 with Renee Trout, the Executive Director of the Stoddard County Children's Home. And Renee, we talked about the Glow Bowling event that's going to take place October 18th, 2025. Let's say in the event that I wanted to sponsor, what are some of the different levels, or what are some of the different things that I could do if I wanted to be involved in that?
Okay. Yeah, well, like I said, Dexter Elks has been excellent to work with. They are familiar with this. The Blacklight Bingo event is, a really fun night. We are, like I mentioned, we're selling the T-shirts that they can wear so they glow in the dark at the event. We will also have a silent auction as part of the bingo night. So outside of the games, they can look at the different items. If anyone has something they might want to provide as a basket or a gift for the auction, they can reach out to me. Again, my number is 573-820-0896. And like I said, businesses and individuals, if they want to sponsor the event, we have an event sponsor level that is $1,000. Logo and promotion, also get their name on the back of the T-shirt. So, and they will sponsor one round. They get 8 tickets to the event included with that. So, the next level is our Glow sponsor at $500. There's 4 tickets provided with that. And again, they'll be on this T-shirt, and a specific round is sponsored by that organization or individual. Some of the other levels with Neon sponsor at $200, or just a friends level at $100. Like I said, we're incredibly grateful for everyone that reaches out and provides this opportunity for us to provide opportunities for the children. We talked a little bit about our income, how it's almost split 50-50 between, what we get from the state, and every bit of funds that we can put back as a nonprofit. We're not here to make a dollar. we're here to spend money on kids. So that's what our focus is. Our treasurer is very, impactful in that and creating a budget that sustains us, keeping those reserves. So we have, the 5 and 10 years down the road, our board is very, sound and financial minded, but this money is going to the kids. I mean, we put it right back, and whether that's new tires on the van so we can travel all around the country and get them there, or providing, birthday parties, cakes, or, clothing needs if they would have a specific need. One kid, when he was playing basketball, we did have to purchase basketball shoes. We didn't have anything in his size, but very few times do we have to do that. I can pick up the phone and make 2 or 3 phone calls, and usually I have what I need within 24 hours. It's just amazing, the community that we live in. And so I hope the bingo night, the Blacklight Bingo on the 18th of October, is just another opportunity for Stoddard County to kind of show out and show what caring individuals they are and providing us with some much needed funds.
Absolutely. And get real welcome to the booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590. Talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home, talking about the October 18th of Glow Bingo Night. That'll be taking place at the Dexter Elks. What time is that going to kick off?
Doors open at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. If you're interested in being a sponsor, you can get on the website, StoddardCountyChildren'sHome.com, all spelled out, or call Renee at 573-820-0896. There's different levels of sponsors. There's a Vincent sponsor at $1,000. There's a Glow sponsor at $500. There's a Neon sponsor at $200, or just a friend of the Stoddard County Children's Home and the district at $100. All the money goes back to the children. This is not a situation, in which the money is going towards upper level management or things of that nature. This all goes back to the kids right here in Stoddard County who have been removed from their homes as a result of abuse or neglect for a temporary 30-day stay until they can find alternative placement. Renee, you indicated that prior to this you worked for the Girl Scouts and you worked here for the Stoddard County Children's Home. And you talked a lot about the training that's going to take place with the trauma and things of that nature of the children. Are you ever not just baffled by the situation that each kid brings you whenever they come into the home?
Quite often. And one of the things, like I said, I have an incredible staff that range from, very young ones that have lots of energy and get in there and can play with the kids to some that have been foster parents for 30 plus years. So bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in that regard. One of my favorite quotes from one of my staff talked about how to deal with these kids when they come in. And she said, each kid is a puzzle, and enjoy taking time with them to figure out what they need or what makes them tick. And I mean, that just really came out in a training, and it really resounded with me. I've used it in some of our promotional material just because that's really what we do. We come in with these kids who are traumatized, and they're either very, very quiet or they're very, very emotional when they come to us. And we just have to take the time to find out, what they need from us. Emotional support, care and comfort, a warm blanket, pajamas. So, it's heartwarming. It's fulfilling as a career for these people. And again, the staff do an excellent job of covering every detail of that household. They have to keep the place clean. They have to, make it a warm and inviting place. They have to show the kids how to take a bath. They have to show the kids, how you brush your teeth, how to get dressed in the morning, how to go to bed. Some of these kids come in, they sleep where they lay. They don't have a bedroom. They have never been put to bed with a book or a story or, care. So, it's a big learning curve for them. And again, the people that we hire have to have a high level of compassion and care for kids. It's when we do our first initial interviews, we often tell people, this is not a regular daycare job. This is a full-time commitment. I mean, you really have to get in there, and sometimes you get in some nitty-gritty that you may not be prepared for. And again, that's why training is big on my book, because I realize, my staff needs care and comfort too in dealing with some of these situations. So we're doing our best to provide that and maintain the highest quality of care that we can.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. We've been talking a lot about the home, the move from Bloomfield to the Dexter facility, the ribbon cutting, obviously, it was back in 2024. A lot about what goes on. Renee, one thing I haven't even thought about, and I don't know why I didn't ask you, what are some of the duties that you have to do on a daily basis?
Well, numerous. Like I said, executive director is a wide and varied title. I do everything from payroll to picking up donations. I clean out garbage cans. Whatever's needed. I do help with transportation if staff can't get there. We hired one of the new changes. We hired an assistant director that really works in the home a little more. She's there with the staff overseeing and making sure that communications between staff and the caseworkers are clear, and that we keep them involved on what we're doing. We try to get as much information on what they're doing, for the kids, or what the next steps are. We have what's called a service plan that she works on that comes in. But I do a lot of behind the scenes work. I'm not always in the home every day I try to get in and meet all the kids, but I'm not there every day. Working with the board on, again, what do we need to be doing next year? What do we need to be doing 5 years from now? There's some strategic planning going on. And with some of the changes, again, with this relicensure, like I said, updating our policy manual was a huge undertaking last year. Then training is on the board this year to make sure that, that we're current, that we're relevant, that we're providing the best care that we can.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Division. And Renee, you said that you just went through licensure when you're good for another 2 years. Kind of explain to the listeners, what exactly was that process like?
Actually, it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, they're just checking to make sure that we're doing, everything to make sure that home is safe. We had to have an inspection from the fire marshal. We had to have an inspection from the health department. They look over our records, both records that we keep on all the children, personnel records that we keep. They look at our board. We have to submit the latest board list so they know, who's making the decisions for these children. We provide our insurance coverage. A lot of nitty-gritty within that to make sure that we're covered and we're operating up to state levels. But like I said, just a lot of paperwork. This organization was left to me in very good hands, so it was, not an ordeal. I have been through other charter renewal process
Sure.
with other organizations, both as a volunteer and as an employee. That were not so pleasant. So like I said, this really wasn't. I've got a really good contact with the state who is our licensing worker. So she's, maybe it's because my first year she might have coddled me just a little bit. But
everybody needs a little assistance in that first year. I can totally understand that. And then we're on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, the Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home, talking a lot about her duties, the licensures that they've completed and now allows them to operate for another 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that we really want the people to know is October 18th at the Dexter Elks will be the Glow Bingo. Will be a fundraiser for the Stoddard County Children's Home. Different levels of sponsorship. The $1,000 for corporate sponsor, $500, $200, $100. You can get on StoddardCountyChildren'sHome.com. You can also call Renee at 573-820-08. 0896. I always want to say but it's 0896. If you have any questions or you'd like to donate. And again, all this money goes back to the Stoddard County Children's Home for the good of the children. And Renee, one thing I want to get out there too is a lot of people say, well, you know what? I would like to come and just walk through the facility and see what's going on. There's certain issues that sometimes comes across when that's asked to be done, correct?
Correct. We're very conscious of our privacy. We take the confidentiality of the children that are placed with us very seriously. So we do not allow outside visitors. Like I said, we don't have doorbells. We don't use our front door. So like I said, you can't just show up and be let in. So deliveries even come to my home residence instead of to the house. So like I said, these children are with us and have specific needs. So again, we are not a public facing facility. But we are a very welcoming facility for the kids that need us.
And the reason why I said this, a lot of people say, well, I don't understand why I can't go see where my money is going. And I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, if you give money to the Stoddard County Children's Home, it's being utilized for the best care of these children.
I will be happy to send you a PowerPoint with lots of pictures.
Absolutely.
that shows you the inside.
And again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just, like I said, and these funds, we talked about with the bingo and everything, we do put that back for the children. A lot of times I've worked with nonprofits for 35 years now. One of the things I want to make sure that, you are paying staff, that's a big part of it. We've talked about, how committed we are to making sure our staff are trained, well-trained, and provide the most excellent care that we can find in Stoddard County. So that is one of our biggest budget items is providing that, because we want them to be happy as employees, to provide that care for that. But just like, normal homes, we have a grocery bill, we have utility bill, we have insurance that we have to provide. Just, everybody else, everybody knows how high insurance, costs can be these days. But all of those are paid because of you, because of those donors and those listeners that are out there right now. We can't do it. We can't subside, exist on just that state, payment. We have to have the community support from everywhere. It can't come from any one community. And we have been very fortunate, for, again, 45 years we've been in existence, that we've never had a need that has not been met by the citizens of Stoddard County. So we thank you. We are eternally grateful for all the support we get. And we do our best on behalf of myself, my staff, the board, to steward that money in the best way we can. We can make a penny go a long, long way. And again, it's going to go in the way that's going to help that child the most. So we encourage, you to reach out to us if you want to give or able to give, and we appreciate it very much.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, talking to Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. And I'm going to give you this last word. First of all, one thing that I would like to ask is if there's any way that you can make sure that the children have an opportunity to, first of all, visit the Stars and Stripes Museum in Bloomfield and also the Boot Hill Youth Museum in Malden. I think that would be an excellent situation for both. And I know that's a lot of work, but
now, I'm pretty sure they went to one of the events at the Stars and Stripes Museum. And yes, we've been to the Boot Hill Youth Museum with them before.
And I know you have, but those are both outstanding things here in the area that I think they would really enjoy, because, even if they want to have a birthday party, we can put their name on the board or whatever. But anyway, I'm very strongly feel about the Boot Hill Youth Museum and the Stars and Stripes Museum. But is there anything that the Stoddard County Children's Home, is in desperate need of right now that we need to reach out and let the listeners know?
Desperate? No. Like I said, we just finished a canned food drive that was really successful. So as we go down our list, like I said, as far as donated items, probably the next thing, paper towels, paper products, not toilet paper though. Thank you. We have plenty since the pandemic. So
absolutely.
But paper towels, laundry and cleaning supplies. We do laundry 24/7.
Right.
So there's lots of laundry that goes on. So we run through that, and very rarely do we have to purchase those supplies. We have numerous school groups, beta clubs, church organizations, Sunday school classes that do drives for us on the regular. So, we can get that, but that would kind of be the next thing as far as a need right now. That'll be the next thing we're looking for.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Daren Todd on KDEX AM1590, winding down with Renee Trout, Executive Director of Stoddard County Children's Home. In the event that you're looking for something to give, paper products, paper towels, cleaning supplies, things of that nature, they can contact you, I'm assuming. Would that be the best way to do that, Renee?
That's the best way.
Contact her. She's loves to take phone calls, 573-820-0896, or you can contact her on StoddardCountyChildren'sHome.com. All of this goes for the betterment of the kids, Stoddard County community. All 7 community towns in the Stoddard County area has children that's been there and needs to be there at some point. So on behalf of my producer, Misty Hankins, my executive producer, Evan Todd, I'd like to thank you for making us part of your day, and I hope you have a good afternoon and a better tomorrow.